Guys, welcome back to our video series of software engineering. We are going to uh, continue with techniques, to estimate software development time. Indeed, it is very critical to know how to estimate the time that software development, can take. Time is, to me, the most critical factor in any software development, project. Why? Let's take a scenario that you are a consultant and you agreed to deliver the software after 3 months. 3 months. 3 months, in fact, is very short for a software. Software generally, serious software takes a minimum of 6 to 9 months. Now you have committed to deliver that in 3 months, and after 3 months you are not yet done. So what will happen is that you will keep injecting money to pay your developers. You will keep paying for communication, for transport, and all these cost you money. And even in some contract, they put clauses there, which fine you in case you delay. You get that? In case you delay, they fine you. So there's a certain percentage which is removed from the money, that they're supposed to pay you. So it becomes critical then to estimate your time. So you better have more time. You better say that I can deliver my system after 8 months, when you know that it's going to take you 5 to 6 months. So you add a margin. So it's always better, and I always recommend to add a margin of a minimum margin of 4 weeks. Minimum, depending on the complexity. Minimum margin. So like that, you are sure that you are going to finish on time. So you are not going to request, an amendment of the time. You get that? So there are techniques then. The first technique is the critical path method. The critical path method, just as you understand it, help you find the critical path. It help you find the critical path. So the critical path, which is the shortest possible time, that your project can last. Now, how do you proceed? Let's read. Complex projects require a series of activities, some of which must be performed sequentially, and others that can be performed in parallel with other activities. This collection of series and parallel tasks can be modeled as a network. So this is it. You build a network. You see, for example, here you see that requirement. The first task is requirement collection. The second one is screen design. The third one is report design. But you see that 2 and 3 are happening in parallel. 2 and 3, they happen in parallel. They happen in parallel. They're happening in parallel. You get the same here. Between you see like 5 and 6 are happening also in parallel. They happen after 4. Like this one, 2 and 3 happen after 1. You see? And 5 and 6 happen after 4. You get that? 4 happens after 2 and 3. So you have a precedence. So you are the one to define it. You are the one to define that precedence. So no one is going to guide you. So what you do, the first thing you do is you list your activities or your tasks like this: requirement collection, screen design, report design, database design, user documentation program. You list them, and these activities you use one numbers, or me I prefer letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So it's all the same, because all these, you cannot put that in a diagram. So it would be super overwhelming. So precedence here, preceding activity. Here it means what? It means that there is no activity preceding requirement gathering. 1. Screen design, screen design. You see, screen design is coming after 1. But report design also comes after 1. By the way, this diagram is, let us use a program called Paint. Let us use Paint to put them aside. What do we do? Let's do this. Let's do this. We go to Word. I want to show you how the diagram is built. How the diagram is built, and then we are going to see how to develop the chart. So let's change the orientation, put landscape to have a better. Okay. So and then let's go back. This corresponds to this diagram. So how do you build this diagram? How do you build this diagram? Like, let's go to Paint. Go to Paint. Okay, so I wanted them to be assigned to each other. So let's put. So you guys are not supposed to be understanding what I do here. Okay. I want to show you how to build Okay, so what we have here? What do we have here? Now, here we have the activities and here the precedence. There is nothing before 1. Is 1. 1 is requirement gathering. There's nothing before. You see 2, screen design, is preceded by 1. So this here. So this 2 is preceded by 1. 3 also is preceded by 1. It means 2 and 3 happen in parallel. 4, which is database design, is preceded by 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Preceded by 2 and 3. So is why you see these. And then user documentation is preceded by 4. User documentation is preceded by 4. User documentation, which is 5, preceded by 4. Programming is also preceded by 4. It means 5 and 6 happen in parallel. And then testing is preceded by, testing 7 is preceded by 6. This is testing. It's preceded by 6. And then installation is preceded by 5 and 7. It's preceded by 5 and 7. You get that? So we have some which happen sequentially, but we have some which happen in parallel. Sequentially means following each other, in a linear way. And parallel means, that they happen in the same time, just like 2 and 3 happen in parallel, just like 5 and 6 happen in parallel. So it's how you build your diagram. So what you do is you break your activities into like this, and then you what do? You build the precedence. You define the precedence. How are they arranged? How are they happening in parallel, sequential, and so on? How are they preceding each other? You get that? So it is how you build a diagram. So I prefer use A, B, C, D, E, whatever. It's all the same. So you can use numbers, you can use letters. It's all the same. Generally, you don't put these labeling, but these table tells you that 1 correspond to requirement gathering, 2 correspond to screen design, and so on. You get that? Good. Now that you have your diagram, you need to estimate. You need to estimate what? You need to estimate your duration. You have to estimate your duration. So let's do that. Let's pick this again and we take it to Paint. Let's even see here. We don't need to save these. Now you have your network diagram now, like this. Now what you do next is you for each activity, I'm removing this so that you can read. For each activity we have a duration. For each activity we have a duration. Let's say that you put the duration on top. You see that the duration in terms of days, you see that requirement gathering, just an estimation. Let's say we say that you do that in 10 days. 10 days. So you put it on top here. Now screen design, you see that you do that in screen design, you do that in 12 days. Sorry, I'm trying my best to draw, you know. So design is done in 12 days. And what is this? Number 3 is what? Because I want us to keep some logic. Report design, let's say you do that in 4 days. What we call report here, the output of the system, what you get, what you generate from the system, like the bill, an invoice, a list of students, statistics, and so on. These are reports, output. So you design your screens, your forms. What we call screens here are forms. You design your forms, and then you design your reports. And then number 4 is what? Database design. You estimate that you are going to design your database in 5 days. And then user documentation. You develop for documentation for users. So let's say that you are going to develop that in 14 days. And then programming, you say for example that for programming you are going to develop for 60 days. And then installation, you do that in 5 days. And then testing, you do that in maybe in let's assume you do, because you develop in 60 days, you do testing in 25. Oh, it's super ugly. You see, 20, 25, oops, oh, super difficult. I don't have a mouse. 25 days, but I hope you guys are seeing. Okay, so you have assigned to each activity, so this end is ending here, this is end, so this is starting somewhere here, so start here, start here. Okay, now here the first activity is 1, requirement gathering. The second is screen design. The third is report design, database design, user documentation, programming, you see, and then testing and installation. So this is our diagram, and we have augmented our diagram with the duration. Now, how do we estimate the critical path? The critical path CP is the shortest possible time that the project can take. Now, how do you find the shortest shortest time? Here in the diagram, you look for the longest time. Confusing. Let me explain. Why am I talking of the shortest and longest at the same time? What do I mean here? So we start with requirement gathering. It's 10 days. And where do we go? We go here. What is the critical path? We move here. Why do we go here? We go here because 12 is bigger than 4. So the critical path is the longest path, on the diagram here. But it is the shortest time, is the shortest duration of the project. So the longest time, the longest path here is the shortest duration of the project. So we go here because 12 is bigger. Here you have no choice. You have no choice. You go to 5. No choice. Here, where do you go? 60 is higher than 14. So you go here. And then here you have no choice. You go here. And then you go here. And then end. So what is the critical path? It is 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Now it corresponds to what? It corresponds to 10. Let me use a calculator. Now let's calculate it. So it is 10 plus 12 plus 5 plus 60 plus 25 plus 5. 117 days. So this is the longest, time, this is the time of the longest path here. But it is the shortest possible time the project can take. So the project will take a minimum of 117 days. Now I told you that you should always add a margin. So the critical path is 117. You see, 117 days. If you divide it in months, assume that a month has 24 days. Like this one lead to 5 months. You see, I will add another 2 months. I will say that my project is 7 months. 7, because here the critical path is giving me close to 5 months. I will have 2 more months. You see, to get the project duration. So these 2 months I have added is the my project, is the margin, because why do I divide? I'm trying to convert it in months. So we have 117 days. So we divide by 24 open days. 24 days in a month, or 20. Is it 24 or 22? Let's even say 22 open days. 22 open days. It means we remove Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to have 5.3 months. You get that? So I can add 1.7, so I can say my project is going to take 7 months, because I cannot put this exact 5 months. I have to add a margin of 1.7 months. So we say that my project is going to last 7 months. So it is how they define the critical path, which is the longest path here, in terms of duration, but which is the shortest time in terms of the duration of the project. So this 5.3 is the shortest time that it can take. But to add, you need to add a margin to make sure that you are going to cope with different challenges that are going to be met. So instead of saying it is 5.3 months, you are going to say that we are going to use 7 months. So you have added a margin of 1.7 months. So guys, basically it is how you look for the critical path and how you estimate the project duration. But remember that no one is going to tell you, how to draw this diagram. So you draw it yourself, then you estimate the duration yourself, and then you find the critical path, and then you find the margin. So in the next video we are going to talk more in detail about the critical path. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. So I would like to thank you once again for watching. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.